So due to failure to observe phenomena the moment they take place, the anatta lakkhana, state of anatta, is covered us with the concept of solidity, connected with the series of process, and connected with the associated with the masses of phenomena, and then the different function and different sense objects. Just like the stream of water current seem to us perpetual flow. Actually, preceding water current flow down, succeeding water current takes place, replaced. So water currents look like perpetual stream. So in the same way, if we fail to observe phenomena the moment they take place, the anatta lakkhana, the state of anatta, state of non-self, is covered with the concept of solidity. So each and every phenomena, mental or physical phenomena, they have their own individual functions. But we cannot see their individual functions because we fail to observe the moment they take place. In the same way, when we see, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, these are also their own individual objects. Seeing has its own object, visible form is their own object, different object, individual object. Hearing has its own object. Sound is individual object for hearing consciousness. Smelling, fragrance, or smell is for smelling consciousness, and taste, the same is taste consciousness. So sense objects are also different according to the different sense organ. But due to failure to observe the phenomena the moment they take place, we cannot see them individually, we cannot see them separately according to their sense objects, aramana. So in this way also our anatta lakkhana, state of anatta, is covered up with the solidity of the concept of solidity connected with the different objects or the phenomena. So that's why we see we have the concept of solid form, concept of solidity is seated in our heart. It was analyzed yesterday by Sayadaw. Today in Sayadaw we continue this discourse. So the reason why the state of anatta is covered up is the failure to observe the different phenomena of the mind and body. Dana dhatu vinay bhogata amanitikara. Because of failure to observe the different and individual characteristics, the concept of atta or concept of solidity take place. In this case, dhatu means the element which is own characteristics or the phenomena. Each and every phenomena has its own characteristics. which is called element. In Pali, dhatu, Burmese we call that. The individual characteristics, individual characteristic or individual phenomena. They are called dhatu. There are several kinds of physical phenomena and mental phenomena. So variety of phenomena. This variety is called nana. So nana dhatu means the variety of phenomena or their own individual characteristics. So if we fail to observe the phenomena the moment they take place, then the concept of solidity become illusion to us. So if we analyze mental phenomena, we can find it in several ways. When we see something, there are also mental phenomena involved. We have to analyze so that we can define the concept of solidity, concept of solid form. This destroying of concept of solidity is called vinay-bhoga. The vinay-bhoga, the meaning is destroying the concept of solidity, concept of solid form. So this concept of solidity is actually pure illusion. So to explain, to make it clear, Sayadaw explain the element, how they take place. There are elements can be explained from three aspects. It is base element, and this is sense organs. And then striker elements, which is the sense object, which strike onto the base, onto the sense base. And then the responsive element, that is consciousness, take place, just like ignition. For example, when we see something, seeing consciousness take place, the visible form, visible object is the element which is strike in the base sense base, the sense organ. It is eye, sense of eye, and then the seeing consciousness take place. Is a responsive element, just like ignition or fire. And then in this case there is a contact. Mental contact is quite obvious. The combination of sense organ, sense object give rise to consciousness. So this contact is called phassa. In the case of seeing, it is called chakku sampassa. The contact of combination of eye and visual object and responsive element, that is seeing consciousness. There can be the pleasant consciousness or unpleasant consciousness, or a visible object also can be divided into two, pleasant or unpleasant. When we see pleasant visible object, the pleasant eye consciousness take place. Invisible, when we see unpleasant, and the unpleasant eye consciousness take place. So similarly with the hearing, smelling, and tasting, and so on. It's just like striking a match, when we rub a matchstick on the matchbox, the fire is ignited, fire takes place. So in the same way, when the sense organ and sense object, they strike, and then like a fire, the sense consciousness take place. So there is sense base, sense organ, and or the sense object, and then consciousness. Roughly these three elements combined. So these elements are called Nana Dhatu in Pali. Nana Dhatu, several elements. So we have to observe those elements, several elements, the moment they take place. Then we are able to see their own characteristics. And then there are no chance for the concept or the solidity, or notion of the solidity. Otherwise, there will be the concept of solidity be seated in our heart. And then there is an illusion that it is I, or it's me who's seeing, or it is I who hear. It's an illusion due to the failure to see the phenomena or elements the moment they take place. So this concept of solidity or notion of solidity becomes seated in our heart. So if we want to destroy this concept of solidity, we have to observe the elements the moment they take place. So Nana Dhatu yo Vinay Bodhaitva Kana Vinay Bhogi Anatta Lekha Yathawa Salsado Upatandi. It is a quotation or original Pali Canon text. The meaning is Nana Dhatu yo Vinay Bodhaitva. So several types of elements must be analyzed, and then we are able to destroy the concept of solidity. Then the state of anatta, non-self, become revealed, become obvious to us. So to analyze the elements, all we have to do is observe the moment, observe them the moment they take place. So at the moment of seeing, we have to note it as seeing. The visible form and visible object, or the eye or sense organ, and then as a result, the seeing consciousness take place. And then we can experience seeing, or we can enjoy the seeing. So if we note at the moment of seeing, as seeing, then we are able to analyze these mental or physical elements involved in the seeing process. So if we want to recognize a person or identify a person, it is essential to see or to look at him face to face. We have to confront with him. We must look at him, see him face to face, so that we are able to identify a person. So at first we see him as a whole, but if we see him face to face for some time, then we distinctly or we clearly see. Maybe at first we may see his forehead, and then his bridge or nose, and eyebrow, eye, or cheek, or mouth, or chin, and so on. So several parts of the face differently or separately clear, obvious to us. If we see his face, his face, face to face, confronted with his face, and then we understand, or the face is constituted of these physical organs, eye, eyebrow, etc. So we can analyze the one's face. Then there's a concept of solidity, or the notion of solidity or illusion is fade away. So all we have to do is see phenomena or elements the moment they take place. For example, when we see something or someone, we must note seeing as it is. Then we may notice, or we may identify the seeing consciousness, or sometimes visible objects, or sometimes the combination of the seeing consciousness of visible object and sense organ, and resultant seeing consciousness, which take place from the combination of the sense organ and visible objects. So we will be able to see, we will be able to analyze the element on their in their own or individual characteristics. Then there is no room left for the concept of solidity or the notion of the solidity. So the Nana Dhatu, so the several types of elements can be discerned, can be realized. Then there's no chance for the concept of solidity, which is cover up the anatta lakkhana, or the state of it, or the anatta. So the moment we see, there is the base element, or the sense organ, or the sense object, which strike on the base organ or sense organ, and then responsive element, consciousness, sense consciousness. And so if we see them, there is no chance for the concept of solidity, which covers the anatta lakkhana, state of anatta. So similarly with the hearing, when we hear a sound, it is a wave of sound, scientifically, strike on our eardrum, which is sense base, and then the sound is caught. We can hear hearing consciousness, the responsive element take place, hearing consciousness. So this hearing process is constituted of eardrum, or the base organ, and the sound, which is sense object, which is strike at the base, and then the responsive element, hearing consciousness. These elements can be realized if we see them the moment they take place. So in this case, the combination of the sense object, sense organ, and the consciousness also quite obvious to us. So sometimes the sound may be sweet, sometimes may not. According to the sound, the consciousness also sometimes you see pleasant and it can be unpleasant according to the sound. So the sound is striken on the eardrum, which is the sense base, and then the responsive element, the hearing consciousness take place. So the moment we hear a sound, we must note it hearing. Then the process of hearing can be analyzed. As a result, there is no chance for the concept of the concept of solidity. So the moment we hear, we must analyze, we must observe, we must analyze phenomena by observing. Then the moment they take place, then there is no chance for the notion of the solidity, which covers the state of another. Actually, there is like a stream of water, the preceding phenomena and the succeeding phenomena arising and passing away from moment to moment. At the moment we hear a sound, then the hearing consciousness is occurred. Then eardrum, the sound itself, and the hearing consciousness, they also preceding and succeeding from moment to moment, preceding succeeding phenomena arising and passing away. We can see it if we know then the moment they take place. So here also in the case of hearing, sound is an object, same object, which is strike the base, sense base, eardrum, sense organ, and then the responsive element, hearing consciousness take place. If we see, if we observe the hearing as hearing, then there's no chance for notion of the solidity. Otherwise, the concept of solidity come to our mind. And there are also different elements, different phenomena has different elements, different characteristics. In the case of hearing, the sound is different. Sound has different and individual characteristics, and the eardrum, sense organ, is also own characteristics, and the hearing consciousness, it also different characteristics, different phenomena. But if we fail to note the hearing, the moment sound is here, then we cannot see the phenomena individually. Actually, there is no solidity or solid form involved in the hearing process. It's the only phenomena is constituted. And then they have their own individual functions. The sound has different functions, and hearing consciousness also has different functions, its own characteristics and own function. The hearing consciousness is of course a different function. So hearing consciousness all the time is resulted from the combination of the eardrum and the sound, which is strike on the eardrum. That is the responsive element. They have their own function. But if we fail to observe hearing, the moment it takes place, then we cannot analyze. We cannot distinguish between their function among the functions. We cannot analyze the different functions. They are also the combination of the sense organ and the sense object, phasa, contact, and sensation. We experience the objects. This is a Vedana or feeling. And they also have their own function. If we observe the hearing, the moment it takes place, we will be able to analyze the phenomena on their own function. Then there is no chance for the concept of the solidity, solid form will be destroyed. The ordinary element or chemical can be analyzed or see through through the microscope in the laboratory, because they are very too tiny, too small to be able to be seen through the naked eye. So we have to use the microscope to see them clearly. We have to take the help of the microscope so that we can distinguish, we can analyze the nature and their quality. So in the same way, if we want to see the true nature or the phenomena which are arising and passing away in our body, we have to see them, but we don't need any device or instrument like a microscope. We have to see them by observing the moment they take place. So there can be the hindrances which may interfere with our knowledge. It is these are kama chanda nivarana, the sensual pleasure, and vyavara, ill will, tina meda, laziness, audaja, restlessness of mind, and kokoja, regrets or remorse, vichikesa, skeptical doubt. These are hindrances, or the reasoning or analyzing, skepticism. These are vichikesa. These are all hindrances. They are all the time hinder the mind. They always interfere with our mind, with our knowledge. Then our mind is not clear. There no chance for knowledge or wisdom. So if